it's time for you to go to bed.
But first, can you read me a bedtime story?
I sure will. Let me get my things together. I'll tell you a good story, actually, something that will teach you something, okay? Let me tell you about a story that I read for my class, a while back. It was a story about a girl named Hortensia, or should I say a woman by the name of Hortensia. Appian, he retold the story. He was I would want to call him a Greek historian, and he wrote about this speech that Hortensia gave. He basically gave his version of it, and in his version of it, he addressed it the same topic she did, but he put it in a simpler way for us to understand it. So, back then, the triumvirs, they weren't unable to raise enough money to plot revenge for this war. Being as though they didn't have enough money, they decided to tax 1,400 wealthy women. This was unfair to the women at this time period. Women didn't have a say. Women didn't never really pay taxes. They didn't fight in war. So, back then women didn't think this was fair. So Hortensia delivered a speech that brought about a change for these women. Um, so basically, Appian described this experience for the women. Like the women went to the triumvirs houses, they talked to their sisters, they talked to their wives, and they didn't get anything. They tried to get the wives and the sisters to get them to change their mind about taxing the 1,400 women. That didn't work. They were even kicked out of some of the houses. Therefore, since they were kicked out, they felt insulted and they had to do something about it. This is when they grabbed Hortensia. Um, and I just like to focus on exactly what Appian wrote. So Appian wrote, as was appropriate for women like ourselves, when addressing a petition to you, we rushed to your womenfolk, but we did not get the treatment we were entitled to from Fulvia, and we have been driven by her into the forum. You have already stolen from us our fathers and sons and husbands and brothers by your proscriptions, on the grounds that they had wronged you. So basically, Fulvia is one of the triumvirs. I believe she's the sister of Antony. He's one of the triumvirs. When she was told about everything, they kicked her out. Fulvia kicked the women out. She didn't want to hear what they had to say. So basically, the women were upset. And they continued on and said, but if you also steal from us our property, you will set us into a state unworthy of our family and manners and our female gender. If you claim that you have in any way been wronged by us, as you were by our husbands, prescribe us you did them. But if we women have not voted any of your public enemies, if we did not demolish your houses or destroy your army or lead another army against you, if we have not kept you from public office or honor, why should we share the penalties if we have no part in the wrongdoing? Why should we pay taxes when we have no part in public office or honors or commands or government in general? And evil have you fought with such disastrous results? Basically, the women are saying, we're not fighting. We're not at war. We're not even involved in this thing at all. Should we have to pay money? No, we shouldn't. It took these women to actually take a stand because, believe it or not, nothing was going to happen if they didn't take up for themselves. I just like to think of this as, it was fair. It wasn't fair for them. We always promote fairness and equality for men and women, but this is not equality. The men wasn't paying anything. The women were, because they were wealthy and they had the money. They wasn't out there fighting in war. They wasn't even allowed to vote. So why should they have to pay? It wasn't fair. So it went on to say, this was one of my favorite parts. This is a time of war, and when have there not have been wars? And when have women paid taxes? By nature of their sex, women are absolved from paying taxes among all mankind. Back then, women didn't have a say. Women didn't pay taxes. Women didn't do anything. Women couldn't even vote. Today we can vote. Today we have rights. Today we have a say-so. A woman even ran for president. So back then it was just like we don't have a right, we don't have a say, we're not paying anything. So, our mothers on one occasion long ago were superior to their sex and paid taxes. When your whole government was threatening the city itself, when the Carthaginians were pressuring you, they gave willingly not from their land or their fields, or their dowry or their household, without which life would be under threat, available for free women, but only from their own jewelry, and not with the fixed price set on it, nor under threat of informers and accusers or by force, but they gave as much as themselves chose. Basically, Hortensia was saying, like, you're not even giving us a choice whether we want to pay or not, whether we want to contribute. You're making it mandatory for us. It's not fair. You're not even giving us the choice to say if we want to give this or donate that. You're just saying pay these taxes. You have to. If you don't, you basically it wasn't if you don't, you had to. Um, After Hortensia gave the speech, this is what inspired me or made me feel good to my after I was reading it. Basically, after she gave this speech, it changed. Women were, I'm not going to say they eliminate the whole idea of women paying taxes, but now men were required to do it. Men were required to make the same contributions. And they reduced the amount of women that were supposed to pay these taxes. This wouldn't have happened if Hortensia didn't give her speech. This wouldn't have happened if she didn't take a stand or if the women didn't go get her. Because the women, they just tried to knock on the wives and the sisters' doors of the triumvirs. They didn't try nothing else. They said, you know what, we're going to get Hortensia to do the dirty work. And she did it. And if it wasn't for her, guess what? It wouldn't have got done. Looks like you're over there snoring. You tired now?
Yeah.
All right. Good night. The end.
That was a good time.
All right. Good night.